Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome to this webinar from Pakistan Stock Exchange and Karandaaz. It's a joint webinar where we will talk about, on one hand, we'll talk about the GEM board and what are the benefits of listing on the GEM board. And on the other hand, we will also explain to you and give you details about the recent alliance we have with Karandaaz. Ms. Shumaila Rifaqat is here. She's joined me here from Karandaaz, and she will give a briefing on how the alliance between Pakistan Stock Exchange and Karandaaz works to facilitate the listing of companies and help them and assist them financially to take it forward and successfully list on the GEM board. I will start with a little bit of background and details into what is the GEM board, what is it for? There are growth companies, there are SMEs. In Pakistan, there's a majority of, in fact, our economy, the backbone of our economy is based upon SMEs and growth enterprises. Simultaneously, recently, in the last couple of years, we've also seen the growth of startup ecosystem, and it has really performed well and done well for the companies and entrepreneurs who have actually brought new ideas, were able to raise capital for those ideas, and then put their idea into motion and bring it to life. We've seen successful startups, and after the first phase, those startups are ready to take off and come into the proper corporatized structure. And that is where the GEM board also comes in. The reasons why any company would need financing, there could be multiple reasons. There's a need to increase the workforce. There could be a reason where you want more capital requirement for regular work. You would need to have diversification. You want to invest in research. You want to develop your product and add more value to it for more customers. You want to expand into another market or a region. You want to enhance your factory or your setup, or you want to pay off a service debt, because a lot of times it's not only equity that companies start with. You have a combination of equity as well as debt. So these are the reasons we look at whilst we're looking at companies and facilitating them for the GEM board. Now, what is the GEM board? It stands for Growth Enterprise Market Board. It is a listing board of the Pakistan Stock Exchange. It is a platform where new companies, growth-oriented businesses, greenfield operations, even medium-sized companies can come, get listed, issue their equity for high net worth individuals, raise capital to fund their growth, basically, and of course, expansion plans, whatsoever they have. So it is like a stepping stone from your startup, entrepreneur, or SME into the proper corporate world. And then, of course, from there, the journey into the main board listing starts. I will talk about a little about the features and requisites for eligibility of GEM board listing. These are things that you need to have on ground when you come and think of listing on the GEM board. It is good to know these things and basic requisites at this point when you're a startup or when you're setting up your businesses, because then you prepare your entire journey accordingly. You do your documentation, you do your paperwork, you prepare your financials in line with the aspirations and ambitions that you have for your business. So first and foremost, that the company, once you've decided to have to come and list on the GEM board and raise capital through the stock exchange, through equity listing, you have to become a public entity. So there are companies that are private, there are companies that are sole proprietors. So whichever kind of company you are, you need to convert your status into a public entity. And once you're listed, you become a public listed entity. So before applying for listing, you have to convert your status to a public entity. Next, in order to be eligible to list on the GEM board, you need to have a post-issue paid-up capital of rupees 25 million. When we meet companies, a lot of these companies talk about the kind of money they're looking to raise. There's a difference between paid-up capital, existing paid-up capital, and then there is the post-issue paid-up capital. You need to have post-issue means once you've listed, you've raised the money, you should reach the base of 25 million. That's the minimum. So if you're standing today at 15 million paid up capital, you target to raise 10 million, you will achieve the limit or the criteria of 25 million, and you'll reach that. And on the other hand, this is the basic requirement that you have to have a minimum post issue paid up capital of 25 million. On the other hand, there's no upper limit to it. So if you want to raise capital worth 800 million, you want to raise capital worth 500 million, you can do so on the GEM board. Listing can be for both reasons. A lot of times companies come and they will list because they want to raise fresh money. But then there are certain situations where one of the partners or or the shareholders want to release some of the capital, so they offer their shares for sale. Now that in that situation, it's called offer for shares, where the existing 100% ownership is released, and the partners or the shareholder or the sole proprietor, whoever it is, the entrepreneur, gives out part of their shares for sale. So it can be for both reasons. You need to have audited financial accounts for at least 2 preceding years. Now, this is applicable if your company has been there for 2 or more than 2 years in operation. If you're a greenfield, then of course this requirement is not there. Furthermore, the requirement applies if you've been in operation for 1 year. This will apply to your company. So audited financial accounts for the number of years that you've been operating. If it's below 2 years, and if it's more than 2 years, minimum 2 years. And the audited accounts should be by a QCR rated audit firm. Now, what is a QCR rated audit firms? There are multiple firms, there are big 5 firms, but QCR rated audit firms are those that are registered with the ICAP or ICMAP of Pakistan. These are the bodies for finance and audit, chartered accountancy bodies. So it's important to have your financial accounts audited by any QCR rated auditor. It doesn't have to be the big 5. Minimum, why I'm explaining these things in detail is because when we are talking to companies, these are the concerns and the questions that are often raised, and then we answer them. The minimum number of directors should be 7. Now, once the company changes its status from a sole proprietorship or a private entity to a public entity, that is where the requirement of having 7 directors comes in force. So the same applies once you're converting into a listed company as well. The company website should be available, so your presence should be there. Of course, in today's world, when anyone sets up a business, the first thing you do is set up a domain, have a website, even if it's a 2 or 3 pager website, but a basic number, basic information, contact numbers, the kind of business you are in, and of course the contacts are also there. So you must have a company website. You must issue at least 10% of the post-issue paid-up capital. Now, it means that you give out equity or shareholding of at least 10%. This is different for GEM board companies. For the companies which come and list on the main board, they have to give out 25% ownership or equity or shares into the market. On the flip side, for GEM board, this is a flexibility that's there, that they have to give out at least 10% ownership or equity in the market. The securities can be offered through any of the methods, whether it's a fixed price method, or a book building method. There are two ways of offering your equity into the market or your shares in the market. One is called fixed price method, where the issue is fully underwritten. Obviously, there's an underwriter who is covering and underwriting the issue, and the shares prices have been fixed in consultancy or in consultation with your advisor, who will tell you what kind of multiples you can raise, what kind of price you should be asking for. So they will assist you in coming to a fixed price method. The second is the book building approach. The book building issuance, or the method of issuance, is where eligible investors, where the issue size is not more than 5 million shares with a total of PKR 50 million worth. Here, the process of listing or issuance is conducted through book building, or it's also a bidding process. Okay, I have a request to put my screen on, put my presentation on full screen. Okay, how to do? I hope it's clear, more legible now. Okay, sorry about this little disruption. The GEM board eligible company or applicant company must prepare an information memorandum. I'm sure you must have heard of the word or the term prospectus. Now, when companies come to list on the main board, they prepare a prospectus, which is a detailed document which talks about what kind of business this is, what is the product, what are the offerings, what kind of money the company is looking to raise, who are the shareholders, who are the current entrepreneurs, who are the founder members, what are their credit history, and how has the business done till now, and the future, what are the projections, what kind of risk benchmarks are there, and what kind of projections and forecasts are there for the business, what kind of growth plans are there. So that prospectus is a detailed document, but for the GEM board company, an information memorandum is required, which is a summarized version of the detailed document. So the GEM board company does not have to make that detailed document, but they must completely put in all the basic information. This information memorandum, or IM, is circulated, of course, to potential investors, because obviously they have a right to know about what the company is all about that they are planning to invest and buy shares in. Then there's a code of corporate governance, often also termed as CCG. For main board companies, the entire code of corporate governance is applicable, but for the GEM board companies, only 4 clauses of the code of corporate governance is applicable, or only 4 clauses are applicable, which include the formation of the board, having women directors on the board, having independent directors on the board, and having an audit committee of the board. So these are the four clauses which are selectively applicable out of the entire code of corporate governance. So it is for a GEM board company, it is a step into learning and understanding the ropes of becoming a proper corporate by practicing in a few compliance methods and requirements. The sponsors in the case of a GEM board company have to retain 100% of the holding in the issuer and their subsequent right and bonus shares issued for a lock-in period of not less than 1 year. So a minimum 1 year, once you've issued and given out 10% or 20% of your shareholding in the public, and you own 80% of the company for the next 1 year, you cannot give out any or sell any shares of your own out of that 80% that you hold of the company, which is equivalent to your holding of 100% after listing. I hope I'm clear. Please leave your questions in the Q&A section, which I will address once we complete this presentation. The sponsor will hold at least 25% of the post-issue paid-up capital for of the issuer for a lock-in period of not less than 3 years. So on one hand, you have to hold your 100% for 1 year. After 1 year, you are eligible to sell out your shares or give out your holding to up till 3 years, and at the conclusion of 3 years, you must have a minimum holding of 25%. Post 3 years, you can actually sell off more also. So the sponsor has to be associated, has to be part of the GEM board company even after it's listed, because it is the sponsor, it is the founder members based upon their expertise that the new investors have come and invested and taken stake in that company. The minimum number of subscribers required is 10. So if you are issuing equity for a GEM board company, you need to have, and there are subscribers, there should be at least 10 subscribers who subscribe or apply to get shares of your company. There are no profitability requirements for the GEM board. On the main board, when companies come to list, they need to be profitable. However, for the GEM board, keeping in mind that these companies are in the growth phases and growth stage, the requirements for profitability are not there. We've become flexible over there. Okay. Move to the next slide. A little bit about why list and what are the benefits of listing, on the overall benefits of listing, and then we'll go to specific benefits of listing when you're a company on the GEM board. You need every company needs to raise long-term working capital, and especially in today's environment when the interest rates are at the peak and really going out of the roof, it is very difficult for companies to go and opt for bank loans or debt. Hence, the requirement for long-term working capital can be actually addressed through listing on the GEM board on the stock exchange, where you give out equity, you don't have to make interest payments, periodic interest payments, and return that money also eventually. On the other hand, if you are a company which works with equity as well as debt, once you increase your size and your paid up capital improves, of the debt limit that the banks have assigned to you to take loans also increases. And banks are more flexible to give you competitive interest rates, because when companies are listed, they're more transparent, they have audited accounts, and they're visible to bank risk management staff as well. Listing will enhance your company's public profile. You become, from the point that you start your listing journey, you reach out to advisors and lead advisors and consultants, and they start pitching your business or your as an opportunity to prospective investors. The marketing and brand building of your company is started. Then you come into the IPO or the listing issuance phase for GEM board and IPO for the main board. That also brings your company a lot into the limelight. So net, the media interest is there. Once you're a listed company, there are analysts who are reviewing your company, there are research analysts who are issuing reports on your company. You will be holding corporate briefings. The media will talk about you. Every time you issue your financial reports, your dividends, your profitability, or your performance reports, they will be receiving interest not only from the media but from the international and the local investor community as well. In terms of HR capital, this is a very important point, because once a company is listed, a lot of HR, when we're looking at companies, we want to hire bright, young, energetic HR resources, human resources. And that is where the gem board company or the listed company gets an edge over a regular company, because there is a preference by the younger lot and the newer newer professionals to work for companies that have a good standing or visibility and are better brand names. And then furthermore, if you're a listed company, you have a better chance or better probability to offer employee stock options. In case you're not a listed entity and you offer stock options to employees, they may not be able to benchmark the prices of or the market price of the shares that they are being offered. Whilst if you're a listed company, they can actually look at the market prices and even later on offload it if they want to at any point in the market. You have better and improved relationships with your bankers and suppliers. Also, you're in a negotiation, you're in a position to negotiate better with your suppliers also. So a lot of times, the trust of suppliers, listed companies are more are seen to be more trustworthy. In terms of valuation, of course, you have a better valuation when you're a public listed company, because you have a book, you have a market value versus a book value, which is usually higher. Last but not the least, for a listed company, the journey to continue from one generation into the next and the next is easier, and the systems and frameworks are in place. They are transparent, they have professionals, and they follow code of corporate governance, which also requires to have a board which will help the company manage itself strategically. And the succession planning is also not as difficult. It is quite seamless and smooth. Next, here we'll talk about a few benefits that are there with the listing on the GEM board for newer companies. The cost, it is cost effective because it reduces the cost to raise capital. There is no SECP fee and a really minimized fee of the stock exchange, which is capped at 50,000 rupees for a newly listed company on the GEM board. It is flexible because the GEM board company can come and offer their shares to high net worth individuals, qualified institutional buyers. All these are termed as accredited investors, and there is no requirement like when they go into a private equity or funding relationship or agreement. There is no requirement like that of having exclusivity clause or the term sheet like in a typical private equity fundraise. There's the exit and capital raising. Now, when some company comes and lists on the GEM board, it's easier for the shareholders to exit and in the market, as well as to reach out to a large number of liquid funds that are available in the market in the form of institutional investors and high net worth individuals. The regulations and the forex structure is also very clear and very formal in the listing scenario. So if there are companies where foreign investors are looking to invest, since 1991, the government of Pakistan has opened the SCRA or SACRA regulations are there in place, and the market is open, and the foreign investors can seamlessly invest and repatriate their profits and dividends out of the market as well. So that facilitation and that FX transition is also very seamless. So that's another benefit, because a lot of our younger and newer companies and growth enterprises are actually looking to raise money from the foreign investors also. So the capital raising does not stop there. You also want to have alliances with foreign partners. So that also does not stop if you're listed. Once you're listed on the GEM board, that is a continuous activity. And being a listed entity, it is much easier to bring in money, invest in your company, and for your foreign investors to take their dividends and repatriate them as well. Capital gains tax. This is another very important point, because once you're listed on the stock exchange, whether it's the GEM board or the main board, your dividends and your profits, the capital gains tax is applicable on it, and not the WHT or income tax, because on sale of share of unlisted companies, income tax is applied. Whereas when you sell a listed company share, you pay a capital gains tax. So that's a major difference, because there's a difference between both. And last but not the least, it's the brand building. You begin the process, as I said earlier, also the brand building journey begins for any company once they start their listing journey. So it's like you're not actually spending on advertising and building your brand, but it happens as a consequence of your effort to list and start reaching investors. Added value of becoming a listed company, few of these is, which I slightly touched upon earlier, is the global joint ventures, the opportunity to form alliances, partnerships with foreign entities, which will give you a transparency and also make you visible and more trustworthy for your foreign partners, and also improves your valuations potential. Then it also improves and multiplies your negotiation power. We can actually say that a listed company is able to command a premium with your suppliers and customers in terms of deals, lines, and prices. Valuation, entry and exit strategy, I also touched upon that earlier. New shareholders or investors inclusion. Again, foreign and domestic investors can invest and divest easily. International transactions and employee stock exchange, stock options. These, again, both are more seamless and smooth and agile when it comes to a listed structure. Quickly, the process before we hand over to Shumaila here. The procedure that you need to follow if you are considering listing on the GEM board is that first and foremost, you appoint an advisor. You meet with the listed advisors. The list of advisors is available on our website. All these details are also available on our website, Pakistan Stock Exchange. There are presentations, there's the rule book section. All these details are visible, as well as our contacts are also there, where you can reach out and take more details from us, and also book an appointment. So first and foremost, you appoint an advisor who will do the due diligence for you in terms of your financials, your potential to grow, your business plans, your corporate structuring, your regulatory requirements, and they will help you fine-tune your business plan to make sure that you are finally listing ready. So this is where the role of the advisor comes in. The next steps would be the advisor will evaluate your business plan. They will help you by reviewing your business plan through various methodologies. They look at what kind of pricing you can get, what kind of valuation you can get, what would be the final offer structure for your entity. So they will help you with that. And if it's a fixed price method that you're adopting, they will help you. They could play the role of the underwriter themselves, or uh, help you appoint an underwriter, the banker to the issue, and share registrar. Then comes the step where you get the CDC to check for eligibility, induct your electronic share depository system, induct your company into the electronic share depository system, and finalize the pre-listing investors. This whole process again will be held, will be conducted, will be completed with the help and assistance of your advisors. And then there are the regulatory filings. Your advisor will submit your regulatory documents, your application, and obtain necessary approvals from the stock exchange listing department. The marketing is also done by the advisor. They will help you, they'll take you along with your pitch deck, with your presentation, with your information memorandum. They will arrange and organize road shows, investor presentations, and other events to create awareness of the upcoming issue. The subscription, the balloting, share registrar and balloter collection subscription results, the form for all bankers to the issue, and last but not the least, the step where the post-issue clearance is also managed by the advisor. So the role of the advisor is the most important, and in this whole scheme of things where you decide to come and list your company onto the GEM board. So last, one more thing I would like to add here. In the last screen, we have details of contacts. You can get in touch with us at any point, and we could arrange a meeting with you, have a Zoom meeting, in-person meeting. We have people in Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, and even in KP region as well. Please, I think I will take a break here and hand over to my colleague Shurmaila Rifaqat from Karandaaz, where she will brief you a little bit about Karandaaz and the kind of facilitation and support that your company can avail under our mutual agreement. Over to you, Shumaila. And I think towards the end, we'll take all the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Raida, for a very comprehensive presentation. You've made my job easier. It was very clear in terms of requirements. So my presentation, I'll just put it up. It will talk about the partnership between Karandaaz and PSX on strengthening the GEM board. Okay. Is it visible? Is the presentation visible to everyone? Yeah? Okay. Okay, so Karandaaz is partnering with PSX on strengthening the GEM board. The presentation will talk about the nature of this partnership, what is Karandaaz, why are we facilitating this platform, and also the nature of the technical assistance that will be provided through this partnership to the eligible small and medium enterprises that wish to list on the GEM board. So as Raida has very eloquently explained, the objective of the GEM board is to list small and medium enterprises to raise capital for funding their business growth and expansion plans. Now, the challenge in doing that is for small companies or small businesses that wish to enlist, the costs are quite high, and it's a higher percentage of the issue size. Also, the listing process that was just explained requires a lot of specialist input, and that makes it difficult for smaller companies to manage because the nature of smaller companies is informal. They formalize, they become public companies, and there's quite a lot of requirement for the listing as well. So that needs to be managed by a specialist that is called the advisor, and that has high costs. So what is the alignment with Karandaaz? Karandaaz Pakistan is a not-for-profit company. that supports access to finance and also growth of micro, small, and medium enterprises in Pakistan. And by supporting PSX and strengthening the GEM board, we aim to increase its uptake and also facilitate the growth of small businesses in accessing a new source of funding in addition to the traditional banking channel. This slide is a bit about Karandaaz, what our vision is and how are we funded. So our vision is economic empowerment and financial inclusion, and we achieve that through job creation and through financial inclusion of unbanked individual and unserved enterprises. We are funded by UK Aid as well as Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We were established in 2014, and it's a significant sized entity. These are our 4 business lines. We achieve our objective through investments on the corporate credit, through corporate credit and investments. Our aim is to develop the market for MSMEs and to deepen access to growth capital. We do that through direct, wholesale, strategic, and green investments as well now. We also have a business line on digital financial services, which undertakes both projects for the private sector and public sector. Many of you would be acquainted with RAST. It was set up by Karandaaz DFS team, and it continues to provide services to the SPP in implementing this. Our business line on innovation and women ventures aims to provide risk capital and technical assistance to facilitate small businesses to grow and entrepreneurship to take root in Pakistan. We also have a specialized program that supports women-led businesses specifically. It's called the Women Ventures Program. And then we have a vertical on research, which supports all our functions internally, as well as provide market information to other players outside of Karandaaz as well. This is our approach to working. It's just to give you a quick snapshot of, we don't only provide access to capital, but it must have an additionality factor. And by that, we mean that it must have an impact. It must have a demonstration effect to the market for commercial adoption. And it must contribute to market development. It must enhance the financial architecture. It must provide sustainable finance, which also has a green element now. And at individual and firm level, it should provide access to finance, opportunity for enterprise growth, and employment creation. So these are a few points on why this partnership is so important for us, and we're keen to support Pakistan Stock Exchange in strengthening the GEM board. As you all know and experience, the access to finance gap for SMEs, it's significant. It's one of our highest contributing segments, yes, yet access to finance is very low. Out of 5.2 million SMEs operating in Pakistan, only about 160,000 are banking sector borrowers. So there is a huge demand for access to finance, and there's a gap there. Our objectives in supporting SME development and growth are aligned with those of Pakistan Stock Exchange, particularly through the GEM board. And we've entered into this partnership to facilitate the growth and listing of particularly small enterprises on the GEM board. I will go into the details of what that technical assistance will involve in subsequent slides. Also, what's very encouraging is that GEM boards globally have been very successful, and they have contributed significantly to SME advancement and capital market development. Just to present a few cases of India, Hong Kong, and Canada, they've made significant contribution to SME growth. The SME listing has grown significantly over the past 10 years, and small companies have been able to raise funding through SME platforms or boards. They have their own platforms, boards, and exchanges across 30 economies. Now, what are we offering as Karandaaz through this partnership? So Karandaaz will provide technical assistance through PSX. And this project right now, it's a small one. The TA grant is about 13 million to PSX that will channel to small enterprises that qualify for this grant funding. It initially will be provided to 5 entities. PSX will manage the operations, marketing, listing selection, and business development, whereas Karandaaz will fund the listing costs, particularly that of the CTI or the advisor. There's a cap on that grant. It's about 2.6 million per business. The idea to limit it to 5 right now is that we want to see the experience of small medium enterprises through this intervention. You can consider it a pilot and take out lessons in improving this experience for small medium enterprises and use this as user to have a bigger program that is based on evidence and learning. So in terms of utilization of the grant, as I've already said, that it will be used to fund the services of the advisor. The advisor essentially provides one window solution for potential companies. It's responsible for due diligence and preparing the company for issuance and filing of all the documentations that are listed over here on this slide. The idea is that it should improve access to finance for selected SMEs. It should provide an additional source of capital, and also that SMEs become more regulatory compliant, and it should facilitate their formalization. Now, in terms of how this project will flow, it has already, the agreement has been signed, the MOU has been signed between Karandaaz and PSX, so this project is live now. The team has been mobilized since it's being implemented by PSX. Raita and her team will be mostly overlooking this. It will start with a grant listing forms would be created on Pride, which is their online portal to assist the advisor in submitting applications and related documents. And then once that is done, this entities that qualify for this technical assistance grant, the selection will take place at that time. And once they are listed and invoices are verified by PSX, the eligible entities would be reimbursed for the cost they've incurred in terms of appointing an advisor. Another related point is other fees related to PSX, CDC, or SCCP. Those will be the responsibility of the applicant business. It will not be covered by the grant. So who are the entities who will qualify for this grant? It's going to be an entity that has a pre-issue paid-up capital between 25 to 200 million. So it's a big range. That is a range that we feel qualifies as a small entity. These should be they should not have any association with established entities that are already listed on the main board, and none of its promoters, sponsors, or shareholders have any overdues or defaults. CTI fees should not be more than 6% of the amount raised. So in terms of what will this process be? Once you filled out the grant form on Pride and you've sent the application and the listing application will be reviewed in parallel by the listing committee, and Karandaaz will also be part of that committee only to the extent of selecting entities that will qualify for the grant. The other listing process will be overseen by PSX completely. The listing committee, as I said, already includes senior officials of the PSX. It will also have Karandaaz representation. Upon approval of PSX, in terms of invoices that are submitted by the eligible entities that have incurred expenses related to listing, particularly advisory services, those will be verified by PSX, and then once they are approved, they'd be reimbursed by Karandaaz. Thank you. So that's the end of my presentation. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Shumaila. I hope it is very clear now to all the participants that how they can avail. On one hand, what kind of eligibility criteria is there? What are the benefits of listing on the GEM board today? In the high interest rate environment that we're living in today, what kind of benefits and opportunity they have here by in the form of listing on the GEM board of the stock exchange. Along with that, the major cost element is the advisor fee, which Karandaaz has actually, through this alliance, through this collaboration, has actually is taking the main brunt of and facilitating these companies. Now, I'll just take a few questions. Here we have one question. I've answered a few online only. And there's one question, which is what is the annual listing fee in GEM board criteria? There are multiple and slabs in it. The lowest being 50,000 and the highest being 200,000 for companies that are more than a certain paid up capital, size. And again, that is also capped. So the size of your company will determine your annual fee, whereas the joining fee is 50,000 one time. Do you have special desk of GEM at PSX? We have business development team members in all our offices available to give you any details that you may require. You can request us for a meeting in person or through Zoom, whichever is feasible and convenient for you, by contacting us at dropping us an email at info@psx.com.pk, or you can also write to us individually. The details of our contacts are also given in this presentation as well as on our website. Lucky Cement has gone into a second buyback. Are they managing the 25% requirement, or companies can dip below? What can be the implications? Companies have to maintain the 25% requirement at any point in time for being listed on the main board. Other than that, buyback is an option that companies can exercise at any point. Do you have written brochure or booklet for guidance? SMEs need info in Urdu for better understanding. We are working on a Urdu section of our website, which is also there. If you go to psx.com.pk and you select Urdu at the top, and go into the listing segment, you will see the GEM board information available in Urdu as well. GEM is also available for already listed companies. Now, already listed companies are on the main board. You cannot go back into a smaller, from a larger segment to a small segment. You will graduate from GEM board to the main board. So it is not an option for already listed companies. This presentation must be made in Lahore Chamber, Sialkot Chamber, and many associations in Faisalabad Chamber. Thank you for your suggestion and advice. We are keen to take it up, and we are continuously going to all these chambers as we speak. We will be going tomorrow to Bahawalpur Chamber also. Sialkot Chamber, we have already visited twice. We are willing to revisit again if we have the invitation. Similarly, Lahore and Faisalabad chambers have also been reached out to and held presentations for members as well. If you again want us to come, please drop us an email at info@psx.com.pk and we shall reach out and make the visit again. Faizul Haq Saab is asking, how do you transition from GEM board to main board? How do you trade GEM board companies? Transitioning from from GEM to main board, there are two basic requirements. One, that your company size in terms of minimum should reach 200 million, because that is the eligibility criteria. Minimum post-issue paid up capital should be 200 million for any company to apply to list on the main board. And second, if you have been on the GEM board, you need to complete 1 year of your listed tenure on the GEM board and then apply to list on the main board. And the beauty of this situation is that whilst you raise money when you come and list on the GEM board, you could do a second tranche of capital raise when you come and list on the main board. So that's also an option. How do you trade gem board companies? It is exactly similar to how you trade on the main board. You go to the broker, you open an account, you buy shares. Here, the eligibility criteria is that you need to show a net worth of at least 5 million, a worth of 5 million to be eligible to trade on the gem board companies. Drama, film production companies can apply for it. Of course, there are various sectors. There are companies, there are IT companies, technology companies, commodity companies, there are small setups, printers, film production, advertising, media, any and all sorts of companies can come and apply to get listed on the GEM board. Can we have email of Miss Shumaila? Actually, the entire Karandaaz funding application is managed at the stock exchange through your advisor. Hence, you do not really need to connect with Karandaaz unless you have any other option. Please write any other requirement. You may drop us an email at info@psx.com and we will route your query to Karandaaz and Ms. Shumaila if it is relevant to her. What CTI fees or ATI invoice? Faisab, your whatever your agreement with your advisor, an advisor may charge you 5% of or 7% of the capital that the money that you're raising in the form of his fee. We have a capping on the kind of support we give. So obviously that there has to be some limit onto it, and that's Ms. Shumala has explained that as well. The offer is available for 5 companies to start with. How to apply to be a part of these select 5 companies? For this year, we've opted to assist 5 companies. We may have more. We can actually take them to the next year as well. And again, it really depends. How to become a part of these select 5 companies? Reach out to an advisor, reach out to us to understand the GEM board, apply to list on the GEM board to raise capital for your company's financial needs, and ask your advisor to fill out the Karandaaz application form or the grant form that is available at PSX, within the PSX also for GEM board companies. Shoaib Chamdia, how much time is required for this process? Ideally, the listing process takes about 4 to 6 weeks for a GEM board. However, it really depends on how long your advisor takes to submit the completed application form, because if the requirements are complete and there's not much back and forth, it is a very smooth process. Although it really depends on you as well. If you have changed your status to a private company, from a private to a public entity, what kind of business plan you've given, how closely you're working with your auditors and your advisors. What is the benefit of Karandaaz in this whole scenario? Now, this question, Sumaila, I would direct towards you. कि Karandaaz का क्या, what is the benefit for Karandaaz here?
Oh, so is it the benefit of Karandaaz in this whole picture or the benefit to Karandaaz of being involved in this? So I wasn't very clear about the question, but I think I can answer both sides of it.
Yeah. Because the benefit of Karandaaz in this whole scenario, I guess I understand that in terms of what benefit it is by supporting or by this grant.
Okay, so the grant, obviously, the role of Karandaaz is that we're providing this facilitation, we're providing this grant to 5 entities that could get listed, particularly if, paying for those advisory services is a big impediment for them. Also, through this experience, we'll get some very valuable lessons in terms of where are the gaps in this system, how can it be improved, how can it be taken to a level that other countries have achieved and really taken up their listing. And that's very much aligned with what PSX wants to do. So we want to be at the same level, at least at a regional level, where Hong Kong and Malaysia and India are doing so well in terms of strengthening their GEM board. So we want to take it to that level. And why do we want to do that? Because we're an impact fund. And our objective is to support the growth of SMEs in Pakistan. And we believe those are the backbone of the economy, as the numbers also suggest. So any kind of growth has to be through SMEs. And for them, access to finance is a huge issue. So through traditional banking channels, we also have different interventions. Those need to be strengthened. But through PSX, it's an additional it's a new source of financing that SMEs should explore, and we'd like to facilitate and speed up that processes if possible. So there are gains for every player in this, for the entities that want to get listed, for PSX, as well as for Karandaaz, because our interests are aligned. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
I hope so too. There's one question. If you already have professional team, then it's necessary to apply through advisors. Actually, you see, the Shoaib Chamdia, the process of listing is such where you need to have, as I explained, the role of advisor is very critical. The stock exchange has created a board. We are going out and creating awareness. We're creating methods and potential to facilitate companies. We will be looking at the applications that are coming into the stock exchange for approvals to list on the board, and the stock exchange will list the company. But the role of the advisor is critical in the sense that they help you, they help the company get listing ready, they help the company identify the right valuation for them, what kind of process the company should be taking, this entire, and from identifying potential investors to taking you through the regulatory process, this entire uh, uh, role is done or conducted by the advisors, because the advisor is your, I would say, advisor, as the name suggests, he's your consultant, where they will tell you. The stock exchange is the entity which will approve your listing on the exchange. Hence, you need advisors, and it cannot be a direct process. Although I have a direct listing option also available, but that is for companies which are much advanced. Okay. So I've answered live. Share the links of both PPTs. Okay, we shall do so. Please redefine the role of Karandaaz. We've just explained it. I think Karandaaz is collaborating with the stock exchange to assist companies take the cost burden of the consultant or advisor fee. They will reimburse a portion of the advisor fee, because that is a large chunk of expense when it comes to companies getting listed on the GEM board. For a smaller company, it's a challenge to raise money and then give out a large 5 to 7 or 8% of their the money that of the capital that they've raised to a consultant. And of course, you need a consultant, because the consultant's role is critical to your successful application and listing. I think 5 million is too high for me, whereas you can trade on main board for as low as 25,000 and even below. Can you give your comments? You don't need to, Faisal, you don't need to have 5 million to invest on and buy stocks on or in trade on the GEM board company. You need to have the status of an eligible or accredited investor to be able to trade in a GEM board company. You can start with 25,000, of course, but you need to have the status of an eligible investor. The GEM board company trading is not open for general public. It is not open for a small investor, because it's considered to be higher risk company, because a lot of flexibility is given in compliance to these companies. Another flexibility given is that there is no profitability requirement. So newer companies are comparatively higher risk. That is why you need to be an eligible investor or accredited investor. And an accredited investor is either an institutional investor or a high net worth individual who is able to show that his wealth is, or net worth or worth is more than 5 million. 5 million and above. Okay. I hope I've explained this better this time. Is Karandaaz get shareholding against the invested tranche? No, Karandaaz. Shumaila, would you like to take this question? I think, do you get shareholding in the company?
No, not at all. It's a grant, and by the very nature of grant, that money is not returned, and there is, no shareholding in exchange.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think we've answered your questions. The same webinar will be available online also in a few days' time on the Pakistan Stock Exchange YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, as well as on our website. So in case anybody has interest to explore this further, we would like you to reach out to us at info@psx.com.pk, or check out the contact details given in the presentation, or you could write directly to me, raida.latif@psx.com.pk. For more details, we would arrange a meeting in person or online, whatever is convenient for you, to answer all your queries and take you into the next step. We will also facilitate to introduce you to potential advisors, and you can make your own choice from there on. Thank you very much. I hope I have answered. If one does not have account books for the last 2 years, if you don't have account books for the last 2 years and you've been in business for more than 2 years, you would have to get that done beforehand, and that is one of the requirements of considering to get listed. It is an eligibility requirement. I think, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for patiently listening to our presentation. And again, I would say there are details available on our website. There's a Jamboard section which has all the details. The advisors list is also available on our website. Thank you. We shall take leave. Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you. Khuda Hafiz.